Hello everyone, welcome to React Advanced tutorial. In this tutorial we will talk about view element and how we can add the items of the view next to each other and being more flexible. So we will get familiar with the term FlexBox and we will see what is it good for, and then we will learn how to use the different properties of this FlexBox. So let's do it. Since this tutorial is all about view, we can do most of the stuff inside of the browser. Currently, as you can see, there's nothing inside of the view. If I go to the code, you see that we have this is a functional component that we know how to create it by now. If you have not watched the first season of React development, I would highly recommend to go back and watch it. And this is a simple div. And as you can see, I can just remove these empty tags. But and also I imported the style part, but that's it. So that's why it doesn't show anything. But as soon as I cheat and I copy paste some of the divs, and all of the divs are basically look at each other. So I added a different class name for different boxes, and then I add some number inside of these boxes so it will be obvious when we load the page. So if I save it and go back to the view, you can see it will lay out very ugly like this next to each other, and the layout is like the column. So that's all I do for this. And if you see, some of them has a different width, some of them has different maybe height. It's because in the CSS file that I have here, I created this dot container, and if you see that this dot container is basically targeting this class name, and it says that, okay, so if you see this container, do some style to it. And currently it doesn't have any style to the container itself. But for item, what is item? All of these boxes has a class name item, so this item will apply to all of the items. So what do? We just add a border. This is how we add a border around each box. So that's why you can see it. I added border so it's visible, so you can see the divs. And it applied to all of the items here. And now I added some specific style to each box. So for example, box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, and until box 6, we have specific styles. So for example, for box 1, I added height 30, width 50. And box 2 has height 40, width 20, and so on and so forth. It's just random numbers that I selected, and you can add any number, height and width that you want. But for the purpose of testing, I selected these arbitrary numbers for width and height of these boxes. So that's why they lay out like this. Now we want to see, for example, if we want to add all of these boxes in a row, how we can do that. That's where the FlexBox come into picture, and you can apply FlexBox to the container. So if you want to have all of these inside of the row instead of the column, that it's like this. So you can easily add a style here and say display column flex, not flow, flex, and then save it and go back, and as you can see, all of them in one row. That's the FlexBox. To see the results faster inside of the browser, we can do something very simple. We know how to debug from the first season of React tutorial. We know we can inspect the element, and as you can see, it shows this is the container that we have also inside of the JSX file. So we can apply the styles right inside of the browser. How? As you can see, if I click here, it shows the element style here, and the style that I applied, it shows at this part. So, and this is the flex that we just added to our code, and we can just disable it or enable it. As you can see, it means it seems that I just removed this display flex and I add it back, and that's how we can apply the changes to our application on the browser, so we can see the results easily. So you don't have to just save it and then go back to your view and see what does the change look like. So if we want to apply another change, So you can simply use this element.style and you can add something here. So one other thing that you can change is direction of your display. So for example, currently direction is from left to right, and this is the row. So we can give it a column. So you can say flex direction, and currently it's row by default, but you can select column. And as you can see, it changed it to column, whichever we had before. Or you can say reverse, row reverse, and you can see we have numbers and it starts to add them in reverse. We can do the same thing, column reverse. So it's the style of column, but it reverse. So by default, since we have the direction as a row, I will not add this property, but I just wanted to know that there is a property called flex direction, and you can use it. Next thing that we're gonna learn is flex wrap. And what is flex wrap? I will show you in action. So it exactly reacts like its name. So by default, it's no wrap. It will not wrap it. If I change the view size, it will not wrap it. It just shrinks the boxes. But if I use flex wrap as wrap, see, as soon as I use it, it moves them to the next line because it was not fit in one line. So I use it, and if I shrink the page based on what it takes, it just adds the boxes to the next line because it wasn't shrinking the width of any boxes. So this is flex wrap. The next thing that we're gonna learn about flex is flex justify content. If I add that justify content, and as you can see, it has different properties listed here. I can just go over and you'll see the changes based on my selection. Center, it will add everything to center. If I add it to the end, it will go to the right side, flex end. Again, start, left, normal, revert, right, space around, space between, and space evenly. These are the things that flex is doing. And if I just, for example, add space between or space evenly, and I try to increase the width, as you can see, it evenly increases the space between the boxes. And that's how you can use this property. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna learn is align item. And it's all about aligning these items next to each other. So I can just say align items, and you can see how it looks like from this. It'll show you basically very small how it will look like when you select any of these options. And it has center and flex start stretch. So you can select any of this and you'll see, for example, if I select center, see what happened to the view, it align all of them in center. And if I select the baseline, which is here, it moves everything on top, and then center goes center, and then end, which is here. And you can see the differences. And it's very useful for aligning all of your boxes. I shrink the page so everything jammed into this column. This is the same that we had like before. I just wanted to show you a very important thing, which is gap. If you want to have hard number for gap between the boxes, so you can just say gap and give it some pixel or whatever measure that you use for your view. So as you can see, it adds gap between all columns and rows. So if you want to add a gap only for columns, you can just say gap column gap column gap, sorry, column gap, and it adds only to the columns the gap. Or if you want to have gap only for row, you can row gap, and it adds only to the row gap. That's all about gapping between boxes. Okay, so far we talked only about container and applying the styles for container, but how about the items itself? So there is a property for item itself that is called flex grow, and it allows the box or this item to grow based on the view size. And we can just apply this grow to all of the items with this class name. So I can just apply this as a flex grow, and as soon as I save it, it applies to all of the items that we have on the screen. And what are the items? These 6 elements that we have on the screen. And it looks like this. It tries to stretch, and as soon as I stretch the view, they go larger and larger based on the view size. And I can give a different item, for example, item number 6, to grow more than other view or other boxes. So these are growing only based on 1, but I can just give this one as 4 and say it can grow 4 times comparing to others. How can I do that? I can just select number 6, basically number 6 here, and apply flex grow, and I give it number 4. It means that since the others has number 1, this one has number 4, it can stretch 4 times than other. And if I stretch it, as you can see, it goes larger than others. That's for flex. Another property for styling that is opposite to grow, and it's called shrink. And it's the same concept, but this time for shrink. And it can shrink, for example, 4 times less than other components. So I can just say flex shrink, and I'm applying to number 6 again. And I applied flex shrink for all other items. And this is number 1. As you can see, when I shrink the page, number 6 gets shrinker first, more than others, 4 times more than others, and then other items get shrinked. That's how this flex shrink works. Okay, the last but not least property that we will learn for flex is align self. If you remember, for container we had align items, but if for example you want everything to align center for all items except one item, for example item number 3, you go to item number 3, click on it, and say align self, and then you get, for example, see the view is changing, baseline and start. So you give it a different kind of alignment for that specific item, and you can apply this, for example number 3, to your code, so it will be permanent. Currently it's just applying to the browser, but if you want it to be permanent, you can just add a style to the style sheet. So this time when you refresh even, it will exactly look like this. That's all about this flex placement anywhere in your application, and it's very useful for applying flexibility of view elements. I hope you liked it. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, subscribe, like, and let me know what you want me to create.